Miami at North Carolina, staying in the ACC. This is all about, to me, there's two questions here. One that I think we'll get the answer to early on in the game. One, how real is the North Carolina defensive improvement? Just if you look, first of all, it was hard not to improve from last year. They were so bad. They just held Syracuse to 7. Pitt got the 24 on them. Minnesota, who can't score on anybody. Who cares? South Carolina, they played well out of pass rush in that game. But App State, put up 34 and 500 yards of offense. So I think that some of the numbers might be a bit phony. Drake May, obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the country, who also got Tez Walker back at receiver last week. So we'll see how real. I don't think anyone's saying that this UNC defense is really good, but they're definitely improved. How much? Still unsure there. The other question we'll have answered is how will Miami bounce back? They lost one of the most heartbreaking games that I can ever remember. The game's in the bag. All you got to do is take a knee, and you don't, and then you give up a big pass and a bomb and lose at the bell in a game that you were basically on the sidelines being like, all right, we're on to Carolina, we're undefeated, just emotionally. And then, you have all these kids crying after. How does Mario Cristobal keep the locker room intact, keep them focused, and have them show up for this road game? That's what makes this tough for me. I'll probably have Miami in a round robin because if they do show up, I think this number has some value on Miami, which has looked good. I think they'll be able to run the ball here to set up the pass. Van Dyke had some bad throws last week, but he still had a pretty good year overall and has looked a lot better in this offense. And I think the Miami defense has more talent. So I'll probably throw them in a round robin because there's also a chance that if they just don't show up and they're flat, they could get run out here. And then their season just goes into a tailspin. But know a couple people close to the program, and from some of the quotes that I've read, I've liked what I've heard about them bouncing back and not, Cristobal taking accountability. And for what it's worth, when we lost money on that game against Stanford, when he did the same exact fucking thing and they fumbled when they just could have taken a knee, what happened to that Oregon team? The next week they beat a ranked Cal team. So they did bounce. Cristobal was able to right the ship, which, sample size of 1, but that's all we have to go off of. So, yeah, I have a lot of questions about Miami's, just psychological state, and still trying to figure out how much improved this UNC defense is. It's improved. I don't think it's drastically improved, but I think this number's gotten a little bit too high because of what happened to Miami last week. Maybe that's fair, but I think Miami's a good round robin candidate because they do show up. I think there's some value in this money line. What do you see here with UNC and Miami?
Oh, I completely agree. Like I went down the same path as you. Like that Oregon, when that happened in 2018, I went to see what happened afterwards. They beat Cal 42-24. The point spread was 3.5 in that game. So
Cal was ranked 24th. At the time.
Yeah, and then they followed up the next week by beating Washington. So Cristobal did not lose the locker room in Oregon when that happened. And that was my big worry. It was like, are you going to lose the Miami locker room? Now, considering the boosters, the AD, they all shelled out a blank check to Cristobal to get him to come from Oregon. I don't think it affects his job safety. Well, I don't know if Cristobal can do anything to affect his job safety, considering how in love everybody is down there with him. You're right. He did come out in his presser and he said, I should have taken a knee. I mean, he said that flat out. That's got to be hard for a guy like him to say that. So, you take ownership of it, you move on. And generally that's how these things get, put behind you. To me, I want the under in this game. There's a lot of reasons I want the under in this game. UNC has been really poor in defending the rush. They did limit Schrader and Allen of Syracuse last week. But they allowed Pitt 5.8 per carry, Minnesota 5.7. You mentioned those teams. UNC has been top 10 limiting pass explosives. They're 24th in coverage. So that makes me think there may be some troubles here for Tyler Van Dyke. When I look at the coverage, especially cover 1, where Tyler Van Dyke has moderate success rate and average EPA, that's what he's going to see a lot. When you switch over to Drake May on offense for North Carolina, will he torch a Miami coverage unit that ranks 48th and then they're 80th in passing downs EPA allowed? So you would think there's an avenue here for May to get some work in to go deep in passing downs. But Miami's going to go quarters and cover 1. And May has struggled with quarters coverage all his last 2 years. He has a negative EPA, no explosive passes, and a 44% success rate, which is about 6% less than national average. So if with quarters coverage, it limits what Drake May could do down the field, or at least his history of that. So I'm taking the under here. I want the steam on the total to get down to 59. 59 is a huge key, but there's not going to be any rush explosives for the Hurricanes on offense through the ground or in the air either. And then May struggles with quarters coverage. So for me, this is under all the way.